Looking for three things. One is how a student is able to represent what they want to say, how effective they're able to communicate the ideas that they have. The second thing is how well they're able to get that point across. If they're being given a task to describe or argue a particular theoretical stance, how well are they able to get that point across, to persuade the reader? The third is how coherent, how cohesive the text is. How well do they signal their ideas and how the flow of ideas is being developed within the paper. Okay, first of all, when they're representing what they want to say, if they're writing in an academic piece, an essay, well then the student how they write is different than how they're supposed to write, is different than how they speak. But many students don't get that, they don't realize that. And so the way they write is very much like the way they might talk. And so their ideas are sort of, and sometimes fragmented. Their ideas are put in simple clauses, simple sentences. Now, there's not a development of the idea. You don't see the development in terms of the use of language. And so that's one aspect. The second aspect in terms of persuading. I remember one student one time wrote, "We have to see, we have to see," and kept repeating that throughout the paper. The problem is the use of what we would call modality, use of modal auxiliaries, have to. How else could the student have been able to say that so that it didn't sound like I must agree with the student? Instead, the student needs to persuade me. So how could the student do that? And perhaps by saying, "It is clear that." And different ways that one can express one's point of view and get the argument across without it being sort of dogmatically stated to whoever's reading. And the third is failure to signal what the ideas are, so that you suddenly come across a sentence and you have to sort of struggle to figure out how is that related to what the student was saying before, or the student needs to signal. What I hope that we give them is a sensitivity to realize that the nature of writing that they've done in the classroom will probably not be the same kind of writing that they'll be required to do in the workplace. So when they get into the workplace, we cannot anticipate all the possibilities in terms of what they'll need to face. What I hope we can prepare them with is a realization of what are the sort of resources that are there in the language that they can sort of now pay attention to. So what they need to familiarize themselves with when they get into the workplace is what are the kinds of writing that are required of them. Every kind of business will have certain requirements in terms of what it is you need to write. But it's having a sensitivity to what maybe are the language aspects that are there in the text and paying attention to whether or not you're getting the point across in whatever kind of text you're being asked to write that meets the expectations, not just of your manager, your boss, your firm, but also the reader, whether that reader is going to be able to understand what you're trying to say.